This is the brand new Active 3.0, which launches today, March 16th for $800. On paper, this is one of the best pressure washers out there for washing your car. Over 3 gallons per minute at 1000 PSI, but needing a dedicated 20 amp circuit. Now, I've already actually made my entire full in-depth Nerd Level 9000 review with the Active 3.0, and truth be told, I was really impressed. But there are some drawbacks with going with such a high flow pro grade pressure washer here, and today we're going to discuss that. I know a lot of you are interested in upgrading your 2.0 or 2.3 to a 3.0, so we're going to go through, talk about all of these units, compare them head to head, because they all have their own niche segment, and I don't think every single one of these pressure washers is actually made for you. Welcome back to the channel. Let's jump into it. Well guys, thanks for being here today, and man, is it an exciting day if you're watching this on launch day of the Active 3.0, March 16th. This is set to be one of the most impressive pressure washers for 2026. I think the value is truly unbeatable, coming in right at $800 retail. And if you guys, after watching this video, are interested in picking one of these up for the first 2 weeks starting today, again, March 16th, you can use my code Colton10 to save 10% off your brand new Active 3.0 unit. Now, I think the big thing that was really interesting from my review of this is we brought up a lot of pros and cons with having a pro grade unit like this. We went through Nerd Level 9000 style, going through foam cannons, and kind of the issue that you run into with such high flow here, and that is you're not getting great snow foam on here. There's also some other drawbacks, but we're going to compare all of these three because I think Active has one of the most complete lineups of pressure washers kind of in the detailing space right now. They've got their entry level Active 2.0 here. They've got their pro consumer Active 2.3, and of course the 3.0, all at very different price points, all featuring very different things, all having their pros and cons, and that's what I want to go through here today. Starting with the 2.0. Now, when the 2.0 launched, this really took the detailing industry by storm, taking a lot of the unbelievable specs of something like the Krenzla K1322 TS, packaging it into a great small form factor for only $350. So this unit right here, I've tested this at 1.88 gallons per minute at 900 PSI, and this runs on a 15 amp circuit. Something like the Krenzla, you had to have a dedicated 20 amp circuit for the foam cannon. Even using a foam cannon over here, this thing does not go above 15 amps, utilizing a 1.25 millimeter foam cannon orifice in it. Now, the keen 2.0 viewer over here might notice this unit is slightly redesigned a little bit, as you can see some feet down here. Now, this unit was really something that was meant to replace of those cheap Home Depot, Lowe's pressure washers that you set up every time you roll out, get your quick disconnect set up, the pressure washer hose, all of that, which is why it didn't come with feet. Now, a lot of you viewers have been asking Active to put feet on this to make it more wall mountable, and they have done that. This is a new unit coming out very, very soon with actually some upgraded accessories in it. Truth be told, they're pretty cool. I can't actually share them with you. And they have also changed a couple of things in here because this is now going to be serviceable, which was the one big drawback about the 2.0. Now, this utilizes a universal motor in it, which is, I think, its biggest drawback. You get that pressure washer shrill out of it. We'll compare all of the sounds and noises all of these make side by side in different clips here. And meaning that this was a sealed unit in the past, this was something you would run for about 150 hours or so, pitch it in the trash, and get something different. But for $350, the 2.0 was an absolute workhorse, and I know a lot of you know and love this unit at home. Now, moving from the entry-level pressure washer of the 2.0, we have the Active 2.3. Now, this is a unit that does bump up the price, but also bumps up the specs. So this retails right at $539.99, and also features 2.24 gallons per minute as tested at 950 PSI on a 15 amp dedicated circuit, which is actually really, really impressive. So the Active 2.3 is actually now kind of blending the line between entry level and kind of the pro user. This is a unit that now doesn't feature a universal motor. This has a 128 induction motor in it, meaning it's a little bit more stout and it's going to last quite a bit longer. And this is also slightly rebuildable as well. So you can actually change out some of the seals in it. It's a little bit harder to change out oil compared to the 3.0, which we'll talk about about here in a minute. But overall, this was a great iteration and bump from the 2.0. Now, I know for a lot of you, 0.4 gallon per minute or so doesn't really sound like that much, but what I can compare it to is maybe remember back to when you were 16 years old, you just started driving, you might have got a 250 horsepower car. You thought you were literally going to spin the earth, that you were driving so fast, things were coming at you, and you're like, I've never experienced this speed before. Then you got a little older, then you got a little bit more money, you bought a 300, 400, 500 horsepower car, and if you come back down to reality, that 200, 250 horsepower, that's kind of what using a pressure washer feels like. Once you experience more flow, coming back down is very, very hard. Now, we'll also talk about the differences in actually rinsing with all of these different pressure washers. Does having all of that GPM actually make a difference? Stay tuned in the video. So the 2.3 I think is a great unit, and importantly, still utilizes that 15 amp circuit. Now for me, that's actually kind of a drawback. And why I say that, the main competitor to this, the AR630, very similar specs on paper, 2.3 gallons per minute, but that actually needs a dedicated 20 amp circuit. And that is one thing I kind of wish this thing had. Now I know for a lot of you, this is kind of the ideal unit. So I'm glad that they have a 15 amp version, a little bit higher flow, sounds a little bit better, a little bit more robust. So I kind of think this is really a sweet spot. My main issue with this pressure washer is the foam on this, the snow foam production, I would say is no more than just acceptable. Now, this utilizes a 1.45 millimeter orifice in your foam cannon. This over here, a 1.25. I've actually tested this thing, cranked it down to a 1.35 using an MJJC orifice. It overamps the machine. The machine sounds fine. Active actually claims that it will burn out the micro switches, so they recommend not to do that. The foam production on it though is incredible, but it's running about 17 amps. So definitely don't want to do that, blow up your motor. They're not going to warranty it. So I think the Active 2.3, a great stepping stone from the 2.0, but definitely still some drawbacks here as well. Now we take things up another notch from the entry level to the pro consumer. We finally have a pro grade unit from Active. And guys, I think they absolutely nailed the price point on this. On paper, again, 3 gallons per minute, 1000 PSI, needing a 20 amp dedicated circuit for $800 seems like an unreal value. Just want to iterate this again. My AR635 up there, I spent nearly $1,400 for that unit. Yes, it's the hot water version. You can get the non-hot water version for roughly $1,300 with taxes, but for $800 here, yeah, absolutely nuts. Now, moving here, one of the things I thought when they actually launched the 3.0 is they were going to do kind of exactly what I said with the 2.3. They were going to let it go up to 20 amps, probably beef up the internals a little bit, and we'd get great foam out of it. They kind of didn't do that, but there are some great changes here. So notably, side by side, you can see very similar designs here, but we have a huge motor on this and a huge pump head. So this now, instead of the 128 induction motor over here, features a slow speed induction motor, which actually brings the noise down. Really impressive sounding pressure washer over here. I did a comparison between my 635 and this. This is way quieter. Now also with that, our 5-piston pump head, which you can see is utilized on the 2.3 and 2.0, is actually now their pro pump head. So this features overall larger and better internals inside of it. So this utilizes 15 millimeter pistons versus 10 over here. And the pistons are also special treated. They are ceramic coated, so they're gonna last a little bit longer. They're gonna be more efficient over time. Now this unit as well, being that it's the more pro grade version, very easy to change oil. You have your oil fill up here, oil drain at the bottom. You can change all of the valves and seals and everything you need to do in here, which for me is a very important thing. It's kind of like changing the oil in your internal combustion engine. If you don't change it, things are going to deteriorate in there and you're just going to be eating up that machine. So this definitely a more stout version, but again, it still has its drawbacks. Now, one of the biggest drawbacks with this, I would say just flat out, is its foam production. Now, this, because you're at 3 gallons per minute and clamping this thing down to a 1.65, and importantly, their orifice sizes are all over the place with Active. Their 1.65 they actually give you with this unit is nowhere near a 1.65. I recommend using the MJJC 1.65 in here with something like the ADS foam cannon or the Griot's Garage foam cannon up here, and it actually is pretty good. The downside to that, you're foam is naturally a little bit more watery, and naturally you are also needing to use more solution. So I've actually had to change up my snow foams going from the 2.3 and my Krenzla at the time to my AR and to the 3.0. These units, very similar. You need a very concentrated soap, and I typically am right now using around 3 ounces per 1,000 milliliters in my foam cannon, where over here, some of the more concentrated soaps, around an ounce you can get away with, around 2 ounces you can get away with. So you're just naturally spending more, using more, all is more. Now, the other biggest drawback, again, going back to the amperage limits on these, 15, this is now needing a 20 amp dedicated circuit. So this is not something you can just plug into your home garage 110 outlet. You need to have that dedicated winky face plug, as we call it, that 20 amp circuit. Now, even just rinsing a car down with this, you're pulling 17 amps. On the recommended foam cannon orifice that I have on this, pulling like 19.52 amps is what I've tested here. And that's, I think, the best we're going to be. The other big issue with this unit is if you are in need or like to use a deionized water setup, this is likely not going to work with it. The CR Spotless is one of the most well-known, most reputable, and likely highest flow. That caps out at 2.5 gallons per minute. So naturally, you're going to be starving this pump in here, which is not good for the actual unit. And one thing you can actually do with it, unlike these that you can use with pressure, you can actually shut the unit off and you can just run water through your actual nozzle. Now, there's something called the Keeve nozzle. Fellow content creator, Cars with Keeve, has this 1/4 inch quick disconnect that you put on the end of your gun, creates this rain shower head, and you can actually use this with DI water as long as the unit is actually turned off. So there are some little workarounds here, but I think it's important to see that pretty much any unit you choose here, there are pros to it, there are cons to it. It's like everything in life, guys. There's compromises to everything. So which one do you guys think is naturally right for you? I'm not sure. You're going to have to make that decision. Now, one of the other things I want to do here is we're going to go through, we're going to hear how these sound right next to each other. We're going to foam down the car so we can compare all of the snow foam differences, and we're also going to compare rinsability. Now, Active claims 50% more washing speed with the 3.0. Again, I don't necessarily think you can actually measure it. I'm telling you though, once you use a high flow pressure washer like these two here, coming back here just feels like you're rinsing for days, and the amount of water is crazy different. So if you're on water restrictions, definitely not the unit for you. I'm very lucky here at my setup. I'm in what's called the Water Valley Vaults. I don't pay for water, so I don't care. I could use a 10 gallon per minute pressure washer. I'd be happy as a clam. So let's dive into a little bit more testing, noise comparisons, foam cannons, rinsability. Just love this stuff. So interesting. All right, so let's start off by comparing the noise between all of these. So I'm going to stand a little bit farther back like I'd be rinsing this car. Naturally, the unit is a little bit closer than it normally would, but I'll rinse in this area. I'll give you some subjective feelings on it, and we'll also show you what it sounds like up close. We'll lay in the clips, bum, 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 bum. But I do think it's important as well to turn these things on and see how different they sound, starting off with the Active 2.0. You can see that universal motor there, kicks right on, pressurizes the line, ready to go. Let's stand back here like I'd be rinsing a car. All right, so sound check differences between the machines. I got to tell you, it's unbelievable what they've done with the 3.0. Now, the 2.0, really not for me, really don't like that universal motor sound. The 2.3 to me sounds actually pretty good. Now, I can hear it a little bit more. I think what you guys are also going to pick up from the mics is how much more water sound you hear when you go up in GPM. So, you know, the big thing here with these pressure washers, I'm typically not rinsing, you know, this far away from them. Most of you, if you're mounting these inside a garage, are probably washing outside. You're not washing inside, so you're going to be even farther away from the unit. So that is something to take into consideration. It's really funny. The more you spend, the quieter it gets here. And I think in general, the better the noise gets, the more money you spend here. So now that we've got that done, let's move into some foam cannon and rinsing. All right, foam production here. So this is going to be a little bit of a test so I can show you guys back to back to back. Now, it's a little convoluted, a little complex. I promise it'll make sense. So you can see here we've got a bottle with 1 ounces, 2 ounces, 3 ounces. For our soap, what we're going to be using is DIY Detail Incredible Suds Type 2. So respectively 1 ounce per 1,000 milliliters up to 3 ounces per 1,000 milliliters. That way we'll be able to test what a 1 ounce solution looks like on the 2.0 versus the 2.3. Now, inside of all of these foam cannons here, these are the Armor Detail Supply Drift foam cannon. They actually work better than the active foam cannon here for at least the 3.0. So we're just going to keep it nice and even throughout. I've got a 1.25 millimeter orifice optimized for the active 2.0. A 1.45 optimized for the active 2.3, and a 1.65 optimized for the active 3.0. Now your orifice is this little guy here. It's a little hard to focus on, but this little tip, you can kind of see that writing says 1.35 on there. This actually goes right in the back of your foam cannon, right into there, screws on. Then your 1/4 inch quick disconnect goes boom, right in there. Now, optimizing your orifice takes a little bit of time. I will tell you, active, the ones that they ship out, are absolutely not right. For example, the 1.65 they send with the 3.0 is actually not 1.65. I had to go to an MJJC 1.65. I know it's confusing, but I wanted to show you guys this so it makes sense on camera what we're trying to do here. Let's get to some satisfying snow foam. All right, guys, now we're gonna get down into foaming down the vehicle. So I'm gonna go through all of these different units, all with different solutions. I'll make sure whatever I'm using is right on the actual screen there for you guys, and we can compare them side by side. So I think this paints a perfect picture here on the 3.0, the big differences and big distinctions between the 2.0, the 2.3, and now the 3.0 with only 1 ounce of solution. This is absolutely miserable. And the crazy thing is on the 2.0, we had actually decent snow foam. So that's how much just over a gallon per minute plays in having snow foam. And again, these machines, you really got to optimize them with the orifice, with the foam cannon, with the concentration of soap. So let's move up into 2 ounces of solution. All right, so 2 ounces of snow foam in each respective pressure washer. And I think you can see a clear difference here. So 2 ounces, which I would say is actually quite a bit of snow foam if you consider that. This is quite runny, especially compared to the 2.0 and 2.3 here. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed when they get the 3.0 to learn that they're going to have to use more solution. That's just the nature of it. So if you've had a 2.0, if you've had a 2.3, you've been using 2 ounces of your favorite car shampoo, you're definitely going to have to bump that up. But you know, this definitely coats the vehicle. Yes, you can get things done like this, but I just definitely think people are not going to absolutely love this. So that is 2 ounces. Now let's go to 3 ounces of DIY Detail Incredible Suds Type 2. Here's where I finally feel like we're starting to get somewhere with the Active 3.0. I feel like this is what I would consider absolutely acceptable snow foam here. But again, keep in mind, we're using literally 3 ounces of Incredible Suds Type 2. And that is not a cheap soap. I believe it retails roughly $85, $90 per gallon. So that is one of the things with this big high flow pressure washer, and honestly, the AR635 as well, the more flow, the more solution you're going to burn through. Quickly want to just showcase to you what would happen if you ran a 1.35 millimeter orifice inside of your Active 2.3. Now be in mind, this is not recommended by Active because it does go over that 15 amp limit, so you can burn out micro switches. Not good for the motors, not optimized like this, but let's show you what this looks like. Hell yeah, brother. Look at that. Oh, yeah. That's the type of shaving cream style foam I'm really looking for. So again, I love Active's lineup. I just kind of think there needs to be a unit right in between the 2.3 and the 3.0 that is like capped at 2.5 gallons per minute, and you can just get absurdly ridiculous snow foam like this. All right, guys, now that we've foamed down the car, let's get some rinsability tests here. So first off, we're gonna start with the Active 2.0 and see what this rinses down like. Again, remember, I'm used to the 3.0. So let's rinse this down. This was our 3-ounce solution of Incredible Suds Type 2. All right, so subjective feelings from rinsing with the Active 2.0. Man, it does feel like it takes a little while to rinse. It's not bad by any means. It's just not what I'm used to. I can definitely tell you once we get up to the 3.0, it's almost like the swipe of a hand and all of the soap is gone. Now this at 3 ounces, quite a sticky snow foam, and that's okay. I wanted to showcase that to you guys. So pretty cool. Let's move on to the Active 2.3. Oh, wow. So I'm not necessarily timing these. I can just tell you, it feels like so much more water. Just that 0.4 GPM bump feels like a lot for sure. I mean, we have gone up, I guess, 100 in PSI, moving to this machine right at, 2.24 gallons per minute, I think it was. But you can just see how much quicker I'm able to rinse for sure. Is it, completely different? No, but it's definitely noticeable for sure. 3.0 rinse time, let's go. It's insane, isn't that? I mean, it literally is like the swipe of a hand and all the snow foam is gone. That, my friends, is what you are gaining with a big boy high flow pressure washer. And again, it's been a few minutes. I know recording and everything wise, it's like a couple of seconds for you, but going back to that 2.0, man, it just feels like you're just consistently rinsing. This is just like bam, and it's gone. That is why I love these high flow pressure washers. And it really seems like it also helps at the end of your wash without having a bunch of soap in like every single nook and cranny. It is just so much water to neutralize all of that solution that's sitting on there and just flush it out. It is really awesome. So that, my friends, is the 3.0 versus 2.3 versus 2.0. Let me give you some final thoughts before we end this one off. I think with all of this information, hopefully you guys can make a better informed decision on which pressure washer you should go with. So let's wrap this video up with some final thoughts. Now, I think the Active line of pressure washers is really awesome because there really is genuinely kind of a pressure washer for everybody, except, and the Active guys probably aren't going to love this, I think they actually need one more in their lineup. Now, what I personally think they need is to aim for around a 2.5 gallon per minute pressure washer on a 20 amp dedicated circuit. With great foam production, I think that would kind of be the real sweet spot there. But then again, there's a lot of you out there that love these two units over here that aren't willing to upgrade your circuitry in your garage to 20 amps and 15 is enough. Again, the 2.3 is a phenomenal unit and it works absolutely awesome. Even the 2.0 over here is way better than you can get from the big box stores, and I think is a great entry-level pressure washer. For me, I'm gonna live with some of the drawbacks of a big high flow pressure washer because, again guys, once you experience this, once you experience 1,000 horsepower in a car, you want only more. You don't want to go backwards, and that's exactly the problem here. Now, I still think this is an unbelievable unit, and especially at that $800 price point. And again, if you are considering this within the first 2 weeks starting March 16th, you guys can use my code Colton10 to save 10% off. Man, it's a freaking awesome unit. Truth be told, I'm really kicking myself for purchasing the AR635 because this is basically same exact specs on paper, is actually quieter, and there feels no different. It is way cheaper than the AR. So that's my feelings here on the active line of products. I think it's great to have a pressure washer for everybody. Still waiting on one that'll fit right in here, really emphasize the foam production. Maybe the active engineers can actually provide that. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in another one soon. Bye-bye.